Call the meeting to order.
You want to use that?
We give the agenda. So what's the first?
First on the agenda is business, review and possible approval of a new department organizational chart and job descriptions.
Well, that's my cue then. So as most of you are aware, the village board approved in the 2016 budget an additional hours for the cable department. Basically, it comes out to a half-time position that's being paid for out of the general tax levy, not out of the cable franchise fees. So what I went forward and did then is put together basically kind of a plan of how we would organize the department, and then also how that part-time position, basically what that position would be, like where's that money going towards. So I guess we'll start with the organizational chart. It looks a little bit different than the what we had in the past, and in some ways it's the same, some ways it's different. Probably the best way to describe the change that's going into place is if you ignore the very top part, the director basically, what you see there is pretty much what we have in place right now, where we've got a staff of people, we've got a senior staff person, and then we've got a program manager and then a technical manager. That's what's on the books right now. So by adding this position in, it's kind of like adding the director in, but it's really not. It's adding in the communication specialist, and we're just shifting things around. So it looks like there's a whole lot of new positions here, but really there's only that additional position that we're adding in. And as you can see from this document, it's really, we're just kind of codifying what we have in place. We'll have, myself as the department head, Andrew Day, who has been taking on a lot of extra work, kind of helping out with the phone system, some other technical stuff, to be the technical specialist, kind of the point person for the village. And then Justin, who will be kind of continuing to help as a senior audiovisual technician. He also does a lot of the programming for the channel as well, the actual scheduling of programs. And then our two technicians will still be there. The technical specialist and the communications specialist would both be part-time positions. The way that we're able to basically pay for the technical specialist without there being any additional funds is that Justin, who was at 15 hours a week, is going down to 10. So that additional 5 will go to Andrew, making him a 20-hour part-time position. So then really the only vacancy obviously is the communications specialist, which would be the 0.5 FTE employee. Any questions about that? Just the general.
No, I like the way it's outlined here, because I think it gives significant legitimacy to the communication technology department.
Exactly.
Unlike before.
Exactly, and that's the other thing I want to bring the attention to is the change of really the department name. Instead of us just being cable, really to reflect what we're doing. Is the cable is still obviously a vital part of that. It's part of the communications and as a technology component, but we're doing so much more than just that one thing. So, great. Any other questions regarding? Okay. So I
that's
guess
good.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just jump into the actual job description. If we want to start with the Communications and Technology Director. The basis for this one was pretty much what was put together with the position that I currently have, which is the cable manager. We did put a draft combined job description together, I think last budget. But pretty, if you look at the distinguishing characteristics of class, it's basically in charge of pretty much everything that we've got going on, obviously. But it does include the village communications via social media and other electronic forms of communication. And there's a supervisor management portions of things. Although I'm just reading right now that there needs to be a change because it still says cable technical manager in there, so we'll make a change to remove that. Obviously, the supervision received stayed pretty much the same. It's this committee and the administrator. The supervision exercise was updated to reflect the part-time communication specialist and the technologist or technical specialist, and then the audiovisual technician change. If we go through the description of work, most of this is very similar to what already existed. the general supervision of the department, the quality of the channel, obviously serving as support to this committee. On the back side of that page. Budget, pay, I mean, it's fairly, fairly similar stuff. I'm trying to go through here and look at things that have changed. If you look at towards the bottom.
Your second page didn't copy, I don't think.
Oh, it's on the back. Oh, did I not copy
I didn't have
the back side? Did I not copy the back side?
No,
Oh,
you
shucks.
just have the
Okay. Well.
Just read what it says, whatever you want to point out.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, there's a line that says provides technical or audiovisual taping services to other village departments or serve as a technical resource to village departments on the design, purchasing, installation, maintenance, and operation of audio and video equipment and related cabling. In a nutshell, that means basically provide AV and technical support. The one thing I do have in there is does not include IT computer support. I wanted to make it very clear that we haven't gone that route yet. It's definitely something that I think is down the line, but at this juncture, that's not what we're planning on having. That's still being figured out by computer magic. If in the future that's something we want to do, it's as easy as deleting a line in this thing, and then we're good to go. The other points with that are on the bottom of that page that you can't see. Oversees and maintains the village phone system, acts as the primary point of contact with phone service providers. Once again, all that is just codifying what already exists. Oversees and maintains the village internet connection and acts as the primary source of contact, basically what already exists. And then there's the lines talking about oversees and assists with promotion of village and community social media, website, basically saying that this is the jurisdiction of this department, this is what you do type of thing. And then you can see on page 3, assists with the emergency operations section, talking with our emergency management director and with the interim fire chief and the police chief. That's definitely something that will be there as a resource to help people out to get the EOC up and running if it is ever needed. After that, things pretty much stay the same in the job requirements. Basically, it was added. The only things that were added in were basically having some understanding of social media, and then the other thing on page 5, you can actually see is the personnel management skills. Basically, reflecting that this is a department head level position. There will be the management of staff, so that needs to be a skill that this person would have. And then in the qualifications, obviously a bachelor's degree, and then there's a different sort of minimum of 3 years doing something like this, different qualifications for what we were looking for in this job. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yep.
Somewhere, probably under essential duties and responsibilities, would it be beneficial if we included another bullet point to help support accomplishing the board objectives or board goals? Because that really has been sort of part of the rationale to try to secure additional FTE for this position.
Do you want to have it just kind of a generic supporting board goal, or do you want to specifically list out those goals that we?
I think we should list out some specifics to that.
Sure. I mean, we do have the one that obviously you can't see that talks about promoting the community via social media, but I think we could definitely put in a line talking about looking at communication infrastructure, things like that. I think we can definitely, I'm trying to think.
And I don't have the board goals with me, but I know there were at least 4 goals that
More specific.
tied directly to
I know there
technology
was
and
the
communication.
communications, there was the social media aspect of things.
There was consulting with other department heads. What was that?
There was, I think it was working with them to, was that with social media or was that? What I'll do is I'll
Okay.
double check the goals
Okay,
that
we
were
take a
assigned
look.
to us. Yep, and I will add those back into.
Okay.
I'll add specifically kind of adding those if they're not already within this, adding those into.
Okay.
The essential duties.
Good. And then these things listed on page 5, that's very similar to what other positions have had in their
Yep.
position description
Exactly.
for department chairs.
Very, very similar.
So, when was this? I mean, you updated this just recently.
This language was updated, I believe it was the last budget. I don't know if it actually was included in it or if it was just something Eric used to evaluate my position with the compensation kind of plan they put
Okay.
together.
I just thought it was interesting that the bullet point is already in there about supporting social media.
That's something that I added in.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I was like.
that was a bullet point that I added in to reflect the changes to
Okay,
the
gotcha.
Yep.
The other suggestion, under employment category, it says part-time. Can we put the specific FTE, like is it 0.5 FTE?
80.52, yep.
It would just be easier, at least for me to understand,
Sure.
how much of a part-time position this is.
Perfect.
So are you 20 hours?
And I guess the other thing, and that's me backing up a step, is with each of these positions being half-time, the way I'm trying to structure this is that it's not based on a single individual or a single time right now, that if, okay, next year we decide, okay, we really need to have an IT person and a technology person, let's bump up that technical specialist to a full-time employee, and that's kind of there. Obviously you probably want to have that a full-time department head type of thing, but it's in place where this is the structure, depending on the need and the task we want to assign to it. It's just a matter of allocating the money, basically.
And that makes sense.
Exactly. So that's where these are all at 0.5, but they can very easily be moved up to something else. So if need be. Either questions, comments on the director? Okay. So let's take a look at the communications specialist. And once again, I'll make sure to change that it's a 0.5 FTE.
Okay,
Yep. So this is the one that is the newest, obviously. It's not something we have specifically had. So the distinguishing characteristics of class, obviously its main focus on communication, social media. I kept putting in electronic communications to make that focus on newer forms, social media, website, that type of thing. I think definitely you can make the argument that if we want to have some paper sort of communications and things like that added into the responsibilities of this position, that's definitely something we can look at. But my thought was, let's narrow this at first. We don't know exactly what we're getting into with all the social media stuff, and if that's something we can fit into, then let's take a look at that.
Okay.
You'll also note that it does involve occasional supervision of employees, but they're not direct supervisors of the other employees. Obviously with certain projects, they'll kind of be in charge of them, but all management of the actual employees rests within the department head.
So could we put performs under the supervision / excluding evaluation?
The supervision exercise or
supervision received?
So received, it's performs under the supervision of the
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Probably the next one.
Exercise.
Yeah.
So all it does is it provides direction and oversight for specific
yeah.
projects, but not.
You don't have supervision.
Exactly.
There,
They're not.
That's fine.
That position is not going to be responsible for like evaluating. Yep. So you can see then, obviously, with essential duties and responsibilities, talking about social media, working with other village staff to actually execute some of the social media, because we've already looked at like the library, for instance. We're not planning on consolidating that. That's something that's always going to be up, so I'll be working with them for their social media. Assist with scheduling and dissemination of C&T department programs and public service announcements. Basically, and then also with the one below that, I want to keep the program manager aspect that kind of predates this position of working with, we're part of the cable department is a part of this department. Let's have this individual working with the staff, creating programs, creating PSAs, creating that video content to promote the village. And on the back side of this page, which you can't see, I'll just go through these points. Coordinates and conducts live video and tape productions from both in-studio and remote location. May prepare scripts, conduct interviews, narrate and operate video and audio equipment. Once again, just to keep the cable aspect of things in. Assist with the documenting of internal policies, standard stuff, maintain appropriate records. Produce and disseminate informational and marketing materials promoting the productions and access activities of WMCF and the village. I just added in and the village. Make presentations to service club and community groups to increase awareness of WMCF. May initiate fundraising efforts and obviously other duties as required. So the main stuff being those first 4 bullet points on the front page. With requirements, knowledge of, if we look at the last bullet point, social media, other forms of electronic communication, obviously that's something we want to make sure that that person has. The general competencies is pretty much exactly the same, is literally the exact same as the, which you don't have, but it's the exact same as the director minus the management skills. And the qualifications with this one is we're requiring a bachelor's degree, just because the communications aspect of it, and if we're looking at marketing and having someone with those type of skills, that's definitely a 4-year degree we're looking at. And that's what will reflect in the qualifications as a communications or marketing degree. Any questions about this one?
Was there any, I guess I think it's always been my concern of getting somebody in here, especially with a bachelor's degree, that only wants to work part-time. Is there any restrictions or requirements of when those 20 hours happen?
There's no, that would be the discretion of the department head of figuring out when exactly that person's. And my philosophy, and I think most people would be, as long as the work's getting done, it doesn't matter so much how that 20 hours a week is broken up.
Okay.
Other questions?
No.
Okay. So moving on to the technical specialist then. And this one is almost a complete copy of what the technology manager that currently exists. Job description is basically the exact same. Aside from changes regarding, talking about the name of the department and other positions. And obviously, once again, that'll be a 0.5 FTE for employment category. As you'll notice, the very top of distinguishing characteristics of class, technical operations and local access, and providing AV and technical support to the village. Once again, supervision under the director and project supervision exercised over some of the employees. With the duties and responsibilities, like I said, this is exactly the same as the technical director now, working to maintain the technical quality of the channel, making sure things are broadcast, that type of stuff. The only things that are different, there are 2 points. 3 on the back page, which you can't see. That big thing that I talked about with the director, about how it provides technical support for videotaping and other departments and all this stuff. It once again includes the line of does not include IT support. The next bullet point is it assists with the oversight and maintenance of the phone system. So it's kind of the person that'll help the director with that one. It also has an assist with the setup and use of the emergency operations center. Since that is mainly technical issues, that would be something that this position would be responsible for. With technical requirements for knowledge, ability, once again, all the exact same, except updated to reflect the different position changes. And with the competencies, the exact same. The one difference that this position has compared to the other ones is we don't require a 4-year degree, solely because I don't really feel the necessary to do this stuff, while it would be definitely something we wouldn't turn someone down for having a 4 years degree. It's not required for the skill level. It's going to this. A lot of this skill that is for something like a job like this is not something you get from a 4-year degree, but practical hands-on experience or a 2-year associate's degree.
Just out of curiosity, Eric, you talked about the Emergency Operations Center.
Mm-hmm.
What's the status of that? I mean, is it up and running now, and is it just maintaining it or improving it?
Up and running-ish. So we actually did have a kind of a tabletop earlier this year where we kind of actually tested it and had the cords running and phones in there and all of that, and it actually worked surprisingly well. We had some issues with the radio that we had to kind of tweak out. So it's pretty much in place. The training room has been converted over to it. What we're doing now is finishing it up. We're still figuring out the projector situation, how to make sure that we added 2 projectors on either side of the smart board. We're trying to figure out how to make sure those are hooked in properly and working, and then to figure out what they're projecting on. We had just painted like a whiteboard type of paint on a wall, but that's not working out so well. So figuring that out. And then also just documenting the process and making sure we have a very clear, if this happens, here's how we set the EOC up. So, for some reason, the cable department decides to go on a vacation and we're all gone, a rookie cop or a rookie firefighter can come in and go through the thing and hook everything up.
So what's the relationship between the EOC and the NIMS training that will take place next week?
So we will be a critical component of that, actually. My department, police, fire, public works, will be the kind of the point people on if the EOC is ever activated. Obviously, we will be the least important of those group of departments, but our basically job is to get in there, assist to make sure that is set up ASAP, and to make sure that we've got reliable radio, phone, and then internet connections, and then filter out the other technical needs as things develop.
So if a situation arose, let's say during the night, and you're sort of on call, they contact you to come in?
Yes, I would get the call, but then the technical director would get the call. The convenient thing about the this person right now is he lives 4 houses that way.
Oh.
So he would be able to be here lickety split. Okay. So, obviously as we move forward, we will have to reevaluate how that works and actually talking about the idea of being on call. But in my mind right now, yes, if that's, and aside from a completely unforeseen natural disaster or something like that, we usually have an idea of, okay, we know there's a big storm coming, something like that. We can prepare for something, in that to make sure we've got someone around or at least ready for it. But obviously with the unexpected stuff, we would be on call and ready to go for that.
So that'd be like any kind of a big emergency for
Yep, and
train derailment.
if a trail derailed, if there was any issue with gas leakage up at the tank farms, that was the tabletop that we looked at earlier this year. Any of those type of things where it would be a major response that you had to be coordinating with many different agencies. Yep. Knock on wood, we haven't had to activate the EOC in the last couple of years, but I've been working closely with the new emergency management director just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of stuff. That's why I think I am a lot of folks looking forward to that NIMS thing, because I think it'll be really informative for us to kind of be on the same page with something like that.
You know what that is, Susan?
I don't.
Emergency.
Yeah,
I'm just going to Google it.
Yeah, I don't remember what the NIMS actually stands for, but it's basically.
I think I have it here actually because I looked it up too.
I'm looking down there at the emergency services guy.
Yeah, it's basically an outline of how unified command is performed.
National
incident
management. Something.
So it basically lines a unified communication between fire, EMS, police, and any other departments. That could include finance, logistics, admin, any other departments that need to be involved in a large incident of some sort, whether that be a mass casualty incident that involves hazmat from the tank farm, or a natural disaster like the Stone tornado. It's just kind of a set of protocols to unify everyone's communications, and here's what these people do, and here's how scope of control. And
a few years ago, all the administrators in the school district were trained.
Okay.
But it was quite a few years ago.
Yeah. So are they participating in this as well then?
Pardon me?
Administrators from the school district participating in this?
No, this is just village department heads and village board kind of initial thing, and then the plan is to have more trainings and with the internal staff at least to make sure that if we know something, what to do in case there's an issue. I think a lot of people have referenced the train derailment in Whitewater and how they were able to respond because they had training for these type of things, and how it could have been much more of a chaotic situation or a worse situation, but they had a general idea of what they were doing. So.
See, my concern with the train derailment, especially with the school right here, the alternate locations, you have to cross the tracks.
Tracks, right.
So that's something that we as a whole community and the school district in particular has to have a couple alternative locations.
Exactly.
I believe part of NIMS is also the pre-planning that would go into certain incidents, I'm sure the school has some sort of pre-plan for
We do.
a active shooter or
Mhm.
similar type incident, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the plan, I think we haven't gotten there yet, but I think to talk about also making sure that the EOC, we've got a backup location that's got the ability to be set up
Okay.
in the case that there's a tornado that wipes out
Mhm.
the municipal
Oh,
center.
yeah.
We're not running around completely and not knowing what we're doing.
Mhm.
So any questions with the technical specialist?
No, so, going back to the EOC again,
Mhm.
and being new on the board, as a village, are we right where we are with the EOC? Or are we sort of behind?
In terms
Are we-
of having it set up and functional? Or?
Right. Having all the plans laid out, so if something did
I
happen.
think
we're all set.
in terms of the actual plans for usage, I
Mhm.
think that if they need to be updated, I think that was what has been expressed to me as what is something that'll be looked at as updating and making
Okay.
sure that the current. I know they were updated. I thought they were updated somewhat recently. In terms of the actual room itself, yeah, I mean the base thing that was holding back that room was the phone system. So when we got that in place, now it's just a matter of making sure we've got the equipment
Yeah.
there. We've talked about having dedicated phones for the EOC, so we're not pulling them off other people's desks. I think we'll have to address some radio issues, but in the case of an actual emergency, we would be able to have that up and running
Okay.
and have that functional in a relatively short period of time.
Good.
So, questions about the technical? Any questions about everything in general? Like I said, I really tried to set this up to reflect pretty much what we've had in the past with this added position and these added responsibilities, and have it in a flexible, as flexible as possible. So, as this department develops, we can allocate resources to meet whatever needs
Mhm.
the board sees fit for us to achieve.
So what's the next step here? And again, I appreciate all the descriptions,
Mhm.
because I wasn't quite sure who did what and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So this is really good clarification.
So the next step then would be, this would go before the Personnel Committee on December 7th, I think it is when it is.
Your job description would be.
All of these. Well, see,
All of
so
them.
it would be, so what I haven't given you is or what I sent out in the email, but I didn't print out tonight, was the senior audiovisual technician and the audiovisual
Mhm.
technician. They literally have not changed except for the actual titles.
Okay.
But since the titles have changed, they will have to go before personnel.
Mm.
So I think so it'll go before them. We'll see what sort of any sort of issues that they may have. But the plan is, in talking with Eric Reinfleisch, is that he will score these so we know, make sure that we're within budget ideas for this. And then with any changes that obviously you guys made, and any changes the personnel committee makes, we'll have those changes reflected and have it on the village board meeting following the December 7th personnel. So that would be, the 14th would be the idea of when to have that.
Would there be anything that, I think that, these are pretty basic, so it's not out there, but if the personnel committee came and said, hey, we don't like this, this, or this, do we have an opportunity for it to come back to us then to say,
Yep.
wait a minute, I don't want this to go to the board yet?
It's
'cause-"
definitely something we can do.
Okay.
And I think that would be my plan, is if they had some major concerns about how this was setting up and there were some major components they were
You would
changing,
stop.
I would not push that forward without bringing
Okay,
it back.
okay.
My guess is if there's any changes, it's gonna be something very minor, like, we talked about changing this to 0.5 FTE.
Mhm.
Things like that, I think
Mhm.
maybe minor changes. If there's any major components they're looking to change, definitely it'll come
Okay.
back to Comitech, and we would just have to wait until the end of January for it to get before a village board meeting, which is no problem. Obviously, the goal will be to try and have this finalized and be able to post it and be able to hire someone,
Next year.
end of January, early February.
As soon as possible, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that would be next steps. The biggest thing I'm trying to do is talk with folks and educate folks is to not scare people as, oh, hey, we got one new position. Why am I getting 5 new job descriptions and a new org chart and all this kind of stuff? And that's really why I want to reiterate this is it's not a change. It's really just reflecting what we have
New structure.
and basically just changing to update who
Mhm.
we are for what our current mission is. So.
I think that's what the board had requested.
Exactly. Yep.
So.
Yep. So. Any questions?
No, the only thing,
Yep.
again, I would say time is of essence,
Mhm.
because we had our board retreat where we identified those board goals back in June.
Mhm.
So the year, in January, the year will be half over.
Yep.
And again, as a member of the board, I'd like to see good progress towards all those goals,
Mhm.
not come June and decide we haven't been able to do much with them. So,
So I
Yep,
guess
so it's good.
if you guys are okay with it, then I guess I don't know if what's going on the agenda. I think if I have a possible, I guess if it, what I'd be looking for then is a motion to approve the job positions with the edits that we talked about in the course of this meeting, being the 0.5 FTE, and then making sure that within the communications and technology director are the specific points on the goals that we've achieved.
I'll second that.
Motion it, and then,
Oh, you want to?
but so I can't make the motion
No.
since I'm just those
Okay,
lowly
somebody
staff
make,
members.
I'll make the motion
All right.
to approve the organizational chart and job descriptions with the minor edits.
Okay.
Minor edits and any additions.
Yep.
Additions,
Reflect
right.
the
Yep.
board goals. Yep. I'll second.
All right. And I guess it's time to vote.
Discussion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Hooray.
Motion carries.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. This is something that we talked about a lot. I think my staff is excited as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, to kind of have some direction. We have a direction, but this definitely puts us in a. We know where we're going. We're gonna have someone new on staff, which I think people are excited about. And I think that for really the communications specials, I think is going to be something that in light of the events of the last 48 hours, that's been something that has not having a specific person dealing with social media or just in media in general. We've been kind of scrambling a little bit with dealing with things. So I think it'll definitely help kind of put some ideas together and have someone in place that, okay, if we have some sort of big event going on, how do we address it? How do we interact with people on social media, things like that. So.
And I think the challenge, Eric, will be this.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people feel the Communication Technology Committee is a standalone department,
Mhm.
without realizing you really are the foundation of what many of the departments are responsible for here in the village here.
Exactly.
So when it comes to the Personnel Committee, if you can just sort of relate that.
Exactly. No, and that's really, I will equate us a little bit to kind of the admin. I won't tell Tracy that or any of those because they'll yell at me
No.
for saying I'm that important. But in some senses we're really a service to the other departments, and that's really kind of like that service that we really do interact with them. So I agree with you 100%, and it's definitely something that that I'll mention to personnel to make that clear to them.
I think also with the Village Comprehensive Plan
Mm-hmm.
being taken a close look at now, starting maybe in January,
Yeah.
whatever the time is. I mean, the Communication Department will have a lot to say about that.
Definitely.
And relaying that information out to the community.
Exactly. So.
So,
Yeah, I think, I'm glad you said that because I do feel that with what's happened in the last 48 hours, there's a lot of people that are really trying to do whatever they can for the police department and the community and all that stuff, and there's all kinds of suggestions and ideas, and then you see that online and you see someone say, oh no, the village would never support that, or the village wouldn't do this, and you think, you don't know that. It's like, don't paint the village as a negative.
Exactly.
You have
Exactly.
no idea.
Exactly.
again, this gives the village a great opportunity to bring in all those rumors and referrals to one focus point for accurate and complete information.
And it would be a great place
Exactly.
and resource to invite people to join committees.
Exactly. Oh, definitely. I think there's a reason that the board identified this as a goal, and that I know my staff are all in favor of, because it's definitely something that's important. And in this day and age, you have to be able to communicate via social media, website, other electronic means. good old-fashioned paper or newspaper just doesn't cut it these days.
And yet we can't,
Smartphones,
and yet we
yeah.
can't omit those. Like
Oh,
some people
exactly.
still
No, and that's
rely on those.
exactly. Is
You know?
that's the thing. Is
Yeah.
really
Hit all
looking at the
bases.
broad
It's
spectrum.
really broadened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So great. I guess we got staff reports, which I need to fix. Stop breaking that into two. So just to give you guys a brief update on kind of what the department's been doing. Obviously, with the events of the last 48 hours, we've been doing everything we have to support the police department and the village as a whole. We've been working to assist with social media messages. Even today, was coordinating with the fire department and because the police department shares stuff about the route, and so we're coordinating with the different departments to make sure different social media people are putting it out, the library, all that type of stuff. So. This job's already started to kind of show itself. So we've been doing that, and we'll continue to help out any way we can. We also did during the procession today. We had I had all my camera guys out, kind of just to put together a video of the incredible amount of support the community showed. And we had two guys here filming, and then we had one of my other guys was out on the bridge over the Beltline.
Oh, yeah.
As
the
they
trucks
had
there.
as the trucks
Cool.
there. And they're actually back there now. And I'll give credit to my guys. They did this in a very professional manner, and are working still now to kind of get this out. So I really kudos to them to really put this together for not only the police departments, but the family and also the community.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, because we were on Single Cow,
Yeah.
and everybody just stopped.
Yeah.
Some guy out of their car and
Yeah.
saluted and all that.
And that was one of my guys was saying that he was shocked at how everyone was kind of we had 100 Condor Call people out here, and as soon as that first squad car turned, everyone was just
Yeah.
dead silence.
Very
And
silent.
so it was a very moving moment, and we're trying to capture that as best you can through film to put that out and share with the community.
Yeah.
So. Other things going on, obviously I mentioned the EOC thing, so we've got that coming up where we will obviously work with that NIMS training. We work to help out to make sure the presentation for all of that is working. We're moving into the wonderful basketball season where there are, I swear, 400 basketball games, it seems like. So we're getting geared up for that. We're going to try and do as many of the home games as we can. Once again, I have to thank Bill Cather for being our main announcer. He's absolutely phenomenal, and kudos to John Wells as well, who helps out with football. They're just phenomenal. They make these productions so much more than we could just do alone. So the other interesting thing that Bill helped bring about is a friend of his son is interested is in college in this type of field, and he has nothing to do basically the entire January. And so to look for some extra credits for class, he is going to be kind of interning with us for that month.
Oh, what a great opportunity.
That's a great opportunity
Yeah.
for him and also for
It
us,
is.
because now we've got free labor
Yep.
for, and which is good, because January is about the time that my guys start grumbling about having to do all these basketball games. So now we'll have some intern that they can help out, and I think that and they're probably listening right now, but they'll probably learn a couple things from him as well. So. So I think that'll be good, and then we're looking forward to different concerts and things like that we've got coming up.
They do both boys and girls?
Both boys and girls. Yep.
Yeah, is it just varsity or?
Just varsity. Yep. There are sometimes as we get towards the holidays, we'll not do some of those, or some Saturday games we don't necessarily always hit, but as we try and get as many of them as we can, and they'll all be broadcast live, and also obviously on our YouTube channel for replay. So, other things we're working on. That's about it, kind of gearing up for that. We did have actually a technical issue. Our video on demand for government meetings, the server that was on kind of took a dump, so we have that in for service right now. So all of our government meetings currently are just being put on our YouTube channel, so people can access them from there. We hope to have that back within the next week or so. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. Like I said, we're just kind of getting ready for the the wonderful basketball season this fall, basketball and concert season. So. In terms of technology, a brief update actually talking about accomplishing board goals. I had a conversation with a consultant of ours who initially talked to us about putting that wireless connection up between here and the Public Works facility. And we are currently looking at talking a little bit about that, and he thinks that he can get an updated quote to us that would fit within that $25,000 technology that we put in the capital budget this last year for 2016. So that'd be something that I'd be looking at to maybe, once I get an official quote back from him, to bring to you guys to actually get talk about achieving one of our goals. That's something that we could do right away, and that's something that I think need for a couple different reasons. Obviously we've got that connection for Public Works, so we can have our backup servers for the village instead of being at the library to actually be some more distance away. Public Works has been having significant issues with their phone system just because it's different than the village, the main one here, because they're off on their own. So by having that connection, they'd be a part of the main village, and they really wouldn't have the issues they're running into. So that's something we would definitely like to try. And then it's just, I think they'd be nice to actually be a part of the village instead of kind of this little, island out there on their own. And then it also opens up the doors, I think I mentioned, where this connection could potentially be used to bring internet service, not only for the village, but also potentially into the community that could be used for businesses. So,
and that's a big one right there.
And that's huge right there. That's something that we hear routinely from people in the business community, that they're fed up with their offerings now. They would be more than happy to look at something else. So I hope to bring something like that forward sometime in January or February. Other than that, technology is pretty good around here. The phone system hasn't broke. Nothing else is crazy. We're looking forward to getting our new monitor out here, a couple monitors for wayfinding and whatnot. So the guys are already.
What did you find those?
The guys are already brainstorming ideas of how we can do it, and they're coming up with all these elaborate ideas and whatnot. So we'll see how that goes. But, yeah. All right, and that's
So how can the committee further support your efforts and the department efforts?
Well, obviously I would recommend obviously support of this as we move forward. The faster that this can be completed and get out so we can actually approve the job, the better off we'll be, so it's not a dragged out long thing. So obviously helping out in that. In terms of the actual goals, I think that we need to, I think probably at our next meeting, we probably should look at the goals again and talk about what steps we actually want to take moving forward. Obviously we've got the branding proposal. How can we forget about that one? We've got that coming, something to look at, really kind of evaluate, okay, here's the goals, okay, what have we kind of accomplished, what ones do we have, and what are the concrete steps that we can do there. So I think really kind of providing my department with some sort of concrete, yes, let's go this direction, or some more definite pathway, I think would be great. We've got lots of things out there, but actually going down a specific one would be perfect. I think the other thing is also if we can generate any more interest for members on this committee. Obviously this was been a long time since we've had a meeting like this, and so I think we definitely have a lot on our plate, a lot of goals. And we definitely want to make sure that we aren't having to cancel meetings or whatnot for a lack of quorum. So if anyone in the community that might be someone interested in something like this, be more than happy to talk to them more about it and see about getting them on the committee.
Susan had one name.
I don't know if you know Holly Hoyer. If you know her. She works for McFarland State Bank.
Oh, okay.
And she has a employment history in marketing and human
That would
relations.
be perfect.
Lots of great
I will have to find her then and see, try and persuade her.
Yeah.
Or if you want to twist her arm or something like that.
I was asking
I
her
would be
last
more
summer.
than. I'd be more than okay with
But
that.
she was heavily involved with her church, and so that's just
Sure.
eliminated those.
And
And I think this committee has a much better direction now than it did even 6 months ago. So I think that would help bring more people in.
Definitely, I think we can say here's our concrete goals. We've got this new position coming in. I think we've got some momentum, and I think that will definitely help. So, but otherwise, no more people definitely let me know. Any other?
When will our next meeting be?
That is a great question. So I think it falls
And
on,
you're
like-
leaving.
Some point in the next few months.
Where are you going?
Congratulations.
I'm taking a job with the FAA as an air traffic controller.
Oh, really?
Fantastic.
Congratulations. Where will you be?
I have no idea.
Well, that's exciting.
I know that I go to Oklahoma City for an academy, and a week before I graduate the academy, they tell me where to go. And
And
Wow.
you say, okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, congratulations. for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
And also, is I think some of you are aware that Donna is unable to stick with the committee due to personal
Yeah.
things. So, once again, we'll be looking at making sure we get people to make sure we have a quorum and we have an actual committee. So.
Good.
The next date would technically be
The
December
22nd?
22nd, which I'll probably be here. But if you guys want, I don't know how busy folks are going to be
I'll be here.
that week.
Here.
You're here? Okay. I think let's tentatively put a date. I think that would be the date that if there are any issues that personnel comes up with on the 14th, that would be the time to take a look at
Yep.
it. So then in theory, we can have it by the village board, the first village board meeting in January. And obviously, if there's any concerns at the village board level on the 21st, we will address it at the 22nd.
Do we know if the village board meets on the fourth Monday in December, which would be December 28th?
Or the 28th, excuse me. You know what? I don't, that's
I'm
always one.
confused because I thought they met, okay, we just met
There's
this
the
week.
It's second and fourth.
Yeah, it'd be the 14th and the 20th. I think historically, it's always been up in the air. I know, I don't know about in the last couple of years here, but I know it's been canceled in the past, and I know with other boards, it's always one of those
Doesn't
where
make
it's,
sense though.
Mhm.
Okay, so but if we
There's
just
a-
met here the
there's a-
23rd.
there's an odd third Monday in there, or fourth Monday, I think.
Now, there's 4 Mondays in December.
So we don't meet on the 7th.
No.
No, because there's
So
that.
we really go
there's-
2 weeks without a board meeting.
There's that
Yeah.
there's that fifth Monday in November.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's not until the 14th of the village board meeting.
I've been here by myself.
Well, we're glad we can help out with that. Yeah. So yeah, so we'll tentatively schedule for the 22nd, and I will let
Yep.
you guys know. Obviously, we'll know the night of the 7th whether we're going to need to actually have a committee meeting.
Well, based on the amount of work that the board has, as a board member, I would highly encourage us to meet on December 28th.
Okay.
I'm not sure if other board members are
Fine
available.
with me.
No, but
I'm here.
we'll find out.
All right. So tentatively next date is 7 p.m. on December 22nd.
Mhm.
You guys can come and see the office then.
Oh, we figured out what was wrong with your email address too.
Oh, what did I?
MCFSD. I think it's MFSD. It's just
Oh,
the
MCF.
Yeah.
MCFSD. Okay.
rest of it's cool.
I will update that to make sure, and I'll shoot you an email just to make sure.
Thank you.
I just figured you were ignoring me and didn't want to talk to me.
That's what we do, is just
Yeah,
ignore
exactly.
Whatever.
Great. I think that's it. Yeah. Adjourn.
All right.
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Adjourned.
Unanimous consent.